Many basketball enthusiasts have tried to crack the overarching question: what is the formula to win a championship? What is the one thing that almost every team in the history of the NBA has had that has allowed them to win? Who is responsible for this success? These questions have all been asked and debated by some of the most notable media stars. They have pointed to players such as Michael Jordan or LeBron James. They have even pointed to coaches such as Phil Jackson or Greg Popovich. However, the reality is much less glamorous. It is the entity that rarely gets credited or honored. They never get an attire in the rafters, public fame, or a farewell tour. They sit in the shadows making moves left and right to put the best product on the court and hope they can keep their job. Yes, I'm talking about the front office and general managers. Throughout history, there has been one common denominator. Almost every NBA champion level team has had a great front office. We do not even have to go that far back. Instead, we can look at the most recent champion, the Milwaukee Bucks. Let's rewind to last year. After getting bounced in the bubble to the Miami Heat in the second round, almost immediately, the team was being questioned. The beginning of the offseason was swirling with rumors of Giannis' departure, since at the time he did not sign an extension and was entering the last year of that deal. The rumors seemed like they were true. Teams outside of the Bucks, such as the Miami Heat and Dallas Mavericks, were lining up assets and cap space to prepare to spend on his free agency. It is not every day that a two-time MVP hits the free agent market, and they did not want to whiff on a player of his caliber. At the same time, the Milwaukee Bucks were a small market team. Many felt like it was inevitable for stars to leave for bigger markets. So the front office found themselves in a corner. Should they make a bold move without having Giannis locked up in that security, or should they just trade him and start rebuilding? That decision completely changed the destiny of their franchise. They made a massive trade for Jrue Holiday, giving up 2 unprotected first-round picks, RJ Hampton, who was also a first-round pick, and 2 first-round pick swaps. Everyone was shell-shocked when the trade went through because at that time it was considered a massive overpay. However, it was well worth it because before they even won the championship or had any postseason success, they were able to extend their 2-time MVP in Giannis and Jrue Holiday in the same year. What seemed like the beginning of the end quickly turned itself into the beginning of a new era. However, they were not content with just Jrue. In that very offseason, they went ahead and signed Brent Forbes and Bobby Portis. In retrospect, we can see how big those players were for the Bucks' postseason run. Forbes was streaky, but he allowed the floor to be spaced for their best player. And after just one postseason run, Bobby became a fan favorite. It is said that the chants of Bobby still echo in their stadium. The smartest acquisition came in the month of March, after the All-Star break. They were able to acquire one of the most underrated defenders and players in the league, PJ Tucker. It was evident the Bucks did not care about young talent, as they gave up another first-round pick along with Augustine and Wilson. John Horst, the GM of the Milwaukee Bucks, was able to transform this team in under a year to become legitimate title contenders. At the time, no one thought much of it because of what the Nets did to acquire Harden. However, in retrospect, you could slowly see the Bucks building a puzzle that would lead to a championship. The Bucks front office is not the only team that pushed for title contention. The history of the NBA is littered with front offices making moves to put their team in the best possible position. If you want part 2, let me know. However, this video would not be complete without talking about the beast in the north. Let's go a little further back to the 2018-2019 offseason. It seemed like once again, the Toronto Raptors could not get past LeBron James. To point out their lack of success to one man is probably a bit much, but it was true. Every time they faced LeBron, the next step was their plan for the offseason. It got so bad that many in the media anointed him LeBronto, the king of the north. What seemed like a momentous mountain to get over and past, all of a sudden moved itself out of the way. LeBron went to LA, and the light at the end of the tunnel started to show itself. The Raptors front office wasted no time. They knew that the Eastern throne was vacant and the time to strike was now. Something had to be done. Something cold-blooded, but necessary. In a flash, they traded away Podol, a first-round pick, and DeMar DeRozan, who was drafted by the Raptors and who recently signed an extension with the Raptors, to the San Antonio Spurs for Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green. To be honest, people have forgotten how big Danny Green was for the Raptors in their postseason run, and to get him in that trade with Kawhi Leonard was huge. Shortly after that, though, they were able to retain Marc Gasol, who played a huge role in their championship run. The other move that fell short of making headlines was the fact that Fred VanVleet was an unrestricted free agent in that same offseason. However, the front office knew what they had in FVV and signed him almost immediately. All thanks to the front office genius, they went from pretenders to title contenders and eventually title champions. These two front offices clearly showed how important their contribution was to the team's end goal. Like I said, these are just two examples of many more in NBA history of how front offices have moved heaven and earth for the team to stand in paradise.